Well, good afternoon, everybody, and you are very welcome to this moment in history almost in terms of modern technology and Ealing Abbey being there at the forefront of modern communication. But by God, it's been a long and sharp journey that we have taken. I would just like to welcome you all this afternoon in our Zoom Parish In-Council meeting. The aim of this afternoon is to give a broad stroke overview to what's been going on in the parish since our last meeting in February 2020. Because of the pandemic, this meeting is on Zoom today, and the agenda is the same as last year. I hope that 2021 will be the year in which we will be able to put together a forum which will be more engaging and proactive in its use of time and this time. But it's still an important opportunity for you, the parishioners, to get a flavour of all that is being done in and what is going on in the parish in what has been an extraordinary year of the unknown, and of going on and going back to the drawing board and working out how we are going to continue our mission as a parish, as a Catholic community, with a church building that is closed and parishioners unable to come together in person to pray together, to work out how we were going to live our parish community life, and to work through the turmoil of lockdown and how it affected our parish catechesis, sacramental life, prayer life, and our pastoral and social outreach as a Catholic community here in Ealing. And also to make sure that our safeguarding practice was right there at the centre of all our decision making, consciously and unconsciously. So I'd like to thank Ibi Abassi for welcoming you as our chair of the Pastoral Council, also Brendan Curran as our secretary who will be taking the minutes, and to welcome new member of the council, Stephen Barlow, who has been living in the parish for over 20 years, and we look forward to his contribution as we come this year. Together with all three are very committed parishioners, and we are very grateful for their time and expertise. And together with Deacon Gordon and Chris Shakar, our pastoral coordinator, and Father Timothy and myself, we make up the Parish Pastoral Council. Just to reiterate what I said last year, that I envisage the Parish Pastoral Council of the future as the hub where we link those who are coming to the parish office and need support and need help to coordinate our pastoral outreach and to be a communication base to all the various parish groups, which we will hear about later on. This afternoon is an opportunity to hear from our parish team and what we do. It's an opportunity to acknowledge all the good things that you, the people of the parish, are doing and how you are bringing Christ into our community, our country, and our world around us. It is a moment in our parish to say thank you to all who are volunteer and contribute to the life of the parish, most especially all those who have volunteered as stewards since June and sanitising the church after Mass. This has been an incredible bonus and an incredible way forward in terms of opening the church and making sure that we can keep a safe church. But it's also an opportunity to move forward in a positive and meaningful way. This afternoon is about Ealing Parish, Abbey Parish, and it's about moving forward together and building on the incredible ministry and outreach that has been going on for so many years. It's about finding out and learning how to take that forward for the next year, which now more than ever is filled with so much that we used to take for granted in how we live our lives, how we interact with each other, and how we can be a Christian community together for the 21st century. Since our last Parish In-Council Day in February 2020, we as a parish, as a country, and as a world have faced nothing like we have ever faced before. Everything changed in March 2020. An extremely challenging year for everyone on every front. In February 2020, the spread of the coronavirus was taking hold, and with that, we introduced the hand sanitizing machines into the church, and then we had to suspend the distribution of the precious blood to the faithful, marking the beginnings of what we were about to face. So just to say at the outset, just a bit of word on finance. You'll remember that I wrote to you back at the end of November in terms of our parish. And like everybody at the time, this time, we are facing a lot of challenges. The cost of running the parish, including maintaining the services we are currently providing. This year, we have put in the necessary investment for not just managing the future requires more and more, and that's support. And I'm going to let Betty, the chair of our finance parish community, talk more a bit about that. And I would just take this opportunity to thank our finance community for their support and their advice and skills at this time. I would first of all, just again, in terms of finance, like to thank all of our parishioners who have so incredibly supported the parish of Ealing over so many years, and especially this year. Thank you for all those who got in contact during the first lockdown to support us financially online instead of the usual cash donation. I would also like to acknowledge all of you who started contributing over the last few months and year. Your contribution enables us to continue the support, the vibrant sacramental and pastoral life that we have as a parish. We greatly appreciate your generosity and thoughtfulness in sharing what you have with the parish. And just to highlight those three things which are actually core to our experience this year and what we've been doing three important steps that we have taken to ensure that we are in a better and stronger position to meet our challenge and to ensure that easier to donate the parish, but also our presence as a faith community. The new and updated approved parish website, which we are experiencing now, that happened in August. The live streaming of masses since September, and 2 donation portals at the back of the church and the other at the bookshop porch, and that was since October. In this way, we have moved forward dramatically and ultimately caught up with the modern ways of communicating and updating our technological base, and move the way we communicate as a parish to you, our parishioners, and beyond in leaps and bounds. There were a number of teething issues, especially with getting the live streaming right and installing the donation portals and showing that. But so far, so good. We seem to be okay, and they seem to be working really well. Also, just to mention the independent inquiry into child sexual abuse, that it published its report into the Catholic Church as a whole in England and Wales, and with particular reference to Westminster and Birmingham Diocese. It revealed again the reality of the shame of those who abuse power, who abuse trust, and abuse children emotionally, psychologically, physically, and sexually. We remember them always in our prayers, and we do our very best to support them in any way we can. We also ensure that we do everything we can as a church, as a parish, and obviously as a monastic community, to make Ealing Abbey safe for everyone, and most especially for children and for all those who are vulnerable. And we never stop in that mission. So, just to run through, I've been parish priest now since March 2017, and as I mentioned before, with Father Timothy and myself, we are the only 2 full-time monks on the parish team, and we are supported on the parish by Abbot Dominic, Father Peter, and Abbot Martin, and we are grateful, very grateful for their support and their assistance. Father Robin Burgess, as you will remember, also supports the parish life and was a curate and part of the parish team for over 10 years. He is now retired as a priest at Westminster, but he is still available and does support the parish, and I thank him for that. At the weekend in particular, he supports other neighbouring parishes of the local deaneries. We are very lucky and privileged and grateful that we have 3 deacons in our parish. Deacon Gordon, who's been here since Dot for so long at this time, and Ian and Alex. And they in particular play a valuable contribution to our parish life, and in particular to our baptismal preparation programme, but also to our pastoral outreach. And we'd like to say thank you for that. So just to take a quick overview of what's been happening in this last year. So 2020, we were able to have the night shelter, and that it proved to be an extraordinary success as always. And again, thank you to Deacon Gordon for coordinates that so professionally and so well. Unfortunately, this year, it was not running, so that wasn't happening. So January 2021, and that was part of the whole pandemic and the guidelines around that. In January 2020, we increased Daniel's, our catechetical coordinator's hours to another 5, making him full-time. And these 5 hours were set aside to focus, develop and improve the parish website. And as it turned out, these were extremely important steps and gave us a head start for when lockdown began in March. So that we had already begun to look at, in those 3 months prior to lockdown, what we actually needed to do. And obviously lockdown accelerated the urgency of that process. In March, just before the lockdown, we still had the civic mass, and that was on the 15th. And that turned out to be the last public engagement that the Mayor of Ealing went to, because lockdown happened the week after. St. Gregory's School sang in the hall after the Mass in the presence of the Mayor, and it proved to be a good way of getting people to come in and be part of the parish community and to meet the Mayor and the councillors and part of the Ealing Council. We continued as always on the 17th of March to celebrate St. Patrick's Day, and we were gifted with Ullen pipes together with Cherry, our organist who provided the music. And that turned out to be in a kind of last hurrah before we went into lockdown, which happened on the Friday, the 20th of March, which was the final Mass in the Abbey Church until the 5th of July. And March also saw the cancellation of our first Holy Communion and confirmation sessions, which had more or less come to an end. We more or less got completed. So it was just a couple of things. So thankful for that. So the church was closed. It was open for about a week or so for private prayer, but then total lockdown happened. In March, Daniel launched our parish Facebook page, was set up, and then from the 5th Sunday in Lent, the 29th of March, we began our pre-recorded masses, and we were having pre-recorded masses until the 5th of July, available on our Facebook page. And so we did Tuesday, Thursdays and Saturdays and Sundays for Mass, and we also started video presentations of the Dear Parishioner letter and talks for Holy Week, Easter. At this time, our parish secretary, pastoral coordinator and caretaker were all on furlough until July. So that meant that we didn't have those administrative backing as we normally would have had at this time. But luckily the uptake and the need or the requirements was fairly minimal. So I was able to manage that in some way and reply to people insofar as I could. Not always perfectly on time, but I think people were very kind in acknowledging that, and I apologize for that. But so what was wonderful during this time was in particular the Pentecost Sunday parishioners video, which happened on the 31st of May. And that was still on the website, and it was a wonderful example of the parish community coming together. And in the separate videos, all being following the guidelines and all the rest of it, doing their own bits and pieces, reading parts of scripture, reading different readings, and being so imaginative and being so creative in that presenter. And it was a wonderful things of what we can do and what is available to us. And I must say, if you haven't seen it already, as I'm sure you have, but do take a look, because it's still there, because it was so uplifting and so wonderful to see and witness. We had April with our Holy Week, and we obviously weren't able to pre-record those ceremonies, which live streaming has enabled that now, but it was a sort of a lull in the moment, and it felt very strange as a monastic community going through these ceremonies without anybody present except us ourselves. In May, we cancelled the First Holy Communion Masses and the confirmation ceremonies, but this time was also the beginning of getting the church ready for opening up. So I'm very grateful to Radic, our estates manager, for beginning the process of labelling the benches and purchasing more sanitizers and getting the signage ready for the church as we began to prepare for opening up. The parish team, the deacons part, and Father Robin also proved to be an important forum as we prepared to know how and to work through how we were going to manage the reopening of the church for private prayer and also the attendance mass. And obviously we didn't have the availability of Maggie, our parish secretary, or Krisha, because, as I say, they were on furlough. So their skills and their contribution was missing, and we missed that greatly. June, we saw the reopening for private prayer on the 15th. And we also just made the decision for the donation portals. And a lot of work was put in by Geraldine, in particular, our states, who works in our states trust office, getting it right, because you want to make sure that it's going into the right place and that it's easy to manage. And she did an awful lot of work for that, and we're very grateful. We ordered them in July, but they didn't arrive until October, again because of the demand and COVID. In July, we began our public masses again on the 5th, and we started with the 10:30, 12 p.m. and 7 p.m. masses on Sunday. Again, a big thank you to Deacon Gordon, who worked out the rota for stewards in particular, and then for the volunteers who sanitised the church. This was an incredible effort, and I thank you very much to all those who volunteered, because it was so crucial and fundamental to our opening the church and making sure that we were following the guidelines and we were carrying out a proper risk assessment and following that risk assessment. Without that and without your help, we couldn't have done it. So a big thank you, and for continuing to do so in that role. Just to remind you again that we also do pay for a cleaner to come in twice a day, 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. to clean the church in terms of saving. So Maggie came back as part-time in July, and the number of the emails and phone calls increased, and Krisha also came back full-time as well. In September, moving on, we saw the cameras being installed for the live streaming using church services. And there were a number of ongoing teething problems with radio interference that needed to be sorted. But all these seemed fine until Wednesday in November, when we had a breakdown on a most unopportune time, because that was the time we had the liturgy for families and friends of deceased parishioners. But thankfully, it all seems to have been sorted out and worked out well, and we seem to be okay now. This has been invaluable for funerals in particular, because of the numbers attending funerals reduced to 30. And so it's been so important that family members and friends can view from all over the world, Australia, America, Ireland in particular, and from different parts. So having the live streaming and getting the live streaming in has been a considerable benefit and a considerable important in our catechesis, well, in our outreach and for our programme. The donation portals, as I say, were ordered, but they did in July, but didn't come till October. September also saw our First Holy Communion Masses that should have happened in May, and they happened in September, and we're grateful they all seemed to go very well and everybody was happy. And our Confirmation Masses happened in October. I would like to also take a big thank you to Kathy Coleman in particular for helping getting the 9 a.m. Mass back up and running in terms of readers and readers and Eucharistic ministers, Catholic and Philip too. Again, I wanted to get that Mass back as quickly as possible, but again, the issue was sanitising the church afterwards because it had to be ready in time for the 10:30 Mass. And Claes Gomez, again, has played a crucial role in that, in organising the rota, preparing a video to show how to sanitise, etc. And again, she's kept that going, and both of them have. So big thank you for that. Unfortunately, we have not been able to reintroduce the 8 a.m. Mass on a Sunday because of the lack of time between the end of the 8 a.m. Mass and the 9 a.m. Mass. And because we are becoming a smaller monastic community and the number of priests, monastic monk priests available for Mass, I'm not so sure when we are going to be able to reinstate this 8 a.m. Mass, even if we are no longer required to sanitize afterwards. We'll have to wait and we can have a discussion about that. December then moved into, we had to deal with the possibility of Christmas and how we were going to work that. And again, our Deacon Gordon came in with flying colours again, organising the ticketing system for all our Christmas Eve and Christmas Day Masses. And that was no mean feat to have achieved and accomplished. But lockdown at the beginning of November or December happened, and so not as many people turned up as we were expecting. So that is kind of a brief overview of what we're having. I'm going to let the other, Daniel to talk about catechesis, Krisha to talk about our pastoral outreach and how that has been shaped over the year. Jim is going to talk about safeguarding and how that has been mapped in this this pandemic and during it. But just to mention that our Parish Safeguarding Committee, which is there to design to sort of help and support the parish safeguarding reps and our safeguarding, has had its fourth meeting now. And we're very welcome and again privileged to have Monica McCarthy and Paul Adair, both head teachers and leads in safeguarding. And we welcomed during the year Marcella Phelan, who worked with Ealing Council, and to have her expertise and her skills and knowledge joining the team as well is wonderful, and be able to have. So in terms of that, I think that's all I need to say. There's a lot in that, and I think I might have missed out a few things, and I apologise for that. But I just wanted to say that's all that's been happening, and we had to, we were relying on so many people to do that. I think we've come a long way this year with a lot of help and support from so many people, both parishioners and friends of Ealing Abbey. To have come through the way we have is a tribute to the parish community that exists and has been built up over the long history that is Ealing Abbey Parish. I thank you all very much for all the hard work and support in keeping the Catholic life of Ealing alive and blossoming. And we will now hear from those who have been at the heart of that work, that ministry and a mission in our parish community. God bless you all, and take care.